Welcome to the All Financial Hour podcast with Steve All.
You know, Steve, it's often assumed that baby boomers, they're headed for a comfortable retirement, and many of them, I guess they are. But a new study found that fewer than half of Americans ages 65 to 74, they have not saved enough. So I want to break this down, because when the problems of older age sets in, their kids are going to likely pay the price. So is it too late to make the right kind of adjustments so that the financial load doesn't fall on the kids?
Well, we start to look at it, and the average 401k is around $200,000. That means there are a lot of people with less than $200,000 because there are a lot of people with more than $200,000. But I think the thing that gets left out of most planning is when we start to look at long-term care costs. How are we going to cover that? And I'll state that everybody out there listening has a long-term care plan. And I know somebody just thought, Steve, I don't have a long-term care plan. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go, yeah, you do. You're going to have the one my parents had. Just open up your portfolio and circle the asset that you will sell first if you or your spouse goes into a long-term care facility. Because that was basically what the plan was for my parents. My mom, when it was diagnosed with Alzheimer's almost 20 years ago. And I was not in the retail part of the industry at that time. And that's what our plan was. What asset of Dad's are we going to sell to keep Mom in the nursing home? And after that happened, I looked at it and I said, Steve, you're helping business executives, but you're not helping people like your parents. What's wrong with you? And that's when I made the decision to switch over and start working on the retail side. And I felt that planning was the important part because my parents went to somebody that sold them products. So they had a lot of different products out there, but there was no plan put in action and at least discussed. When we discuss things with people with long-term care, there's a lot of people that would say, I'm going to self-fund it, and that's a viable option. But we look at it to the part where what could we possibly do? How could we possibly offset some of those costs? One, traditional long-term care insurance. And I think our industry's done a very poor job of doing that, is because we want to quote Cadillac plans. Because if you're in the St. Louis market and it's going to cost $10,000 to $12,000 a month to be in a nursing facility, let's get you a $10,000 to $12,000 policy. Now, we didn't look at the fact that we got Social Security income, maybe pensions or stuff that could help offset some of that cost. And when we come back with the quote, people will look at it and go, I can't afford that. And because we quoted a Cadillac, maybe all we needed was a VW. Maybe we needed half of that. Just so you've got that confidence that, God forbid, that does happen to you, you've got something to help offset the cost. The other thing that can be used, there's insurance products out there. Because long-term care has become more expensive, life insurance policies now have what we call chronic illness riders in them. So that, God forbid, you have a long-term care event, that you can use part of the death benefit early. There are annuities out there that have enhanced benefits for both death and long-term care. So there's more than one way to cover that long-term care exposure that you might have. I'm going to say, if you don't feel you're prepared, that if a long-term care event happened, give us a call now. Just ask for the legacy planning, long-term care. We'll sit down with you, we'll analyze your situation, and we'll come back with options on how you could help offset some of that cost so you're not self-funding everything in retirement.
A while back, comedian Ron White, he said that he's done. He's retired. That was 2 years ago. Now he has made a comeback, and he's back complaining about something that we all gripe about around this time of year. Of course, Uncle Sam.
I owe the IRS a bunch of money because I don't understand how that works. It's confusing. When I started doing stand-up, they said that made me an independent contractor, and they said I needed to start filing my taxes quarterly, which I thought meant every 25 years. My brain won't wrap itself around that complicated, man. I have attention deficit disorder. I have learning disabilities. I don't have a high school diploma. I'm smart, but you can't prove it on paper.
I mean, all of that is legit, and I love him for it.
My wife doesn't like him. He's just an old drunk. And I said, that's probably why I can relate with him. And just his stories are just fantastic. But he starts to talk about taxes. And I can remember having a conversation with my son about taxes when he first started working. Do I put it in the Roth? Do I put it in the traditional 401k? And I said, put it in the Roth. And he goes, but Dad, two accountants arguing about taxes. It was ugly for a while. And then finally I just stopped. And I said, Matt, do you think you're going to be in a lower or higher tax bracket later? He said, higher. I said, put it in the Roth. He goes, Dad, but I hate paying taxes. I said, Matt, everybody hates paying taxes. The idea around of taxes is that it's a bigger problem if you don't have the money to pay the taxes. There's where the problem comes in. And that's where we look at people in retirement. We were promised years ago, don't worry about it, defer, defer, defer. You're going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. Well, most people aren't. Dave and Mary were shocked. They came in and they needed, $10,000 out of their account. Well, they looked at it and their tax bracket's around 22% for federal and state. We had to take $1.28 out of their account to give them $1. So it's $12,800 versus just the $10,000 that they needed. Mm-hmm. And a lot of you folks are out there are still between federal and state at around that 30% bracket. Well, the 30% tax bracket, it takes $1.43 to get you $1 to spend by the time you prepay the tax to Uncle Sam. So if you needed $10,000, we're going to take $14,300 out of your account. And a lot of people didn't think about that. Do you think you might go through your retirement savings a little quicker?
Oh, wow. Yeah, of course.
If you prepay the taxes.
Yeah.
So we look at it from there. And that's where I look at to the point, and I'll say it over and over again. And I know when people come in, having too much money in your IRAs and your 401ks is going to subject you to tax rate risk in the future. And people will always ask, Steve, what do you mean by too much money? Remember, I just told you that the average is around $200,000. So if you have an extra large IRA account between $250,000 to $750,000, depending on your pensions and Social Security and your lifestyle, you might spend those assets down during your lifetime. Conversions might not make a lot of sense. But if you've got a double X between $750,000 and $1.5 million in your IRAs and 401ks, chances are you will not spend all that money and you will pass a tax time bomb on to your children. And if you've got a triple X and you're up there to the, $1.5 million and above, tax planning can be very, very important. Why? Because you are going to pass a tax time bomb on to your kids. Because nobody out there, when I do presentations, nobody out there says they believe that taxes are going to be lower in the future. They are going to be higher in the future. And we've only got 2 years left of the Trump tax cuts. They expire December the 31st of 2025 if Congress does not make it permanent. Mm-hmm. And they're getting along so well, I'm sure they'll make it permanent real quick. So we got 2 years left of what are some of the historically low tax rates that we currently have, that we could actually pay taxes at a rate that we would want to pay. Now, you, like my son, don't like paying taxes. Nobody does that. But the idea around it of it is, do we really want to pass that on to our children? Because we used to be able to let them stretch that over their lifetime. The, quote, Insecure Act, it was actually called the Secure Act, said, no, you can't do that anymore. A non-spousal heir must take it out of the account within 10 years and pay the taxes on it. So you think about it. If your IRAs, if you had 20 years left, doubled and doubled again, would that pass a tax time bomb onto your children? Yes, probably would. Give me a call now. Let's do a tax analysis to find out where you're at, because I will constantly say reducing or eliminating taxes is the best thing that you could do for a successful retirement.
Thanks for listening to the All Financial Hour podcast.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG. All Financial Group, LLC is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not subject to investment advisor requirements. IPW and All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. All Financial Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by All Financial Group, LLC.